Matthew Henry's Commentary on the Whole Bible. 1 Chronicles 27. In this chapter we have the civil list, including the military one. The 12 captains for every separate month of the year, verses 1 to 15. 2. The princes of the several tribes, verses 16 to 24. 3. The officers of the court, verses 25 to 34. The officers of the army, 1015 BC. 1. Now the children of Israel after their number, to wit, the chief fathers and captains of thousands and hundreds, and their officers that served the king in any matter of the courses, which came in and went out month by month throughout all the months of the year, of every course were 20 and 4,000. 2. Over the first course for the first month was Jashabim the son of Zabdiel, and in his course were 20 and 4,000. 3. Of the children of Perez was the chief of all the captains of the host for the first month. 4. And over the course of the second month was Dodai and Ahohite, and of his course was Mikloth, also the ruler, in his course likewise were 20 and 4,000. 5. The third captain of the host for the third month was Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, a chief priest, and in his course were 20 and 4,000. 6. This is that Benaiah, who was mighty among the 30, and above the 30, and in his course was Ammizabad his son. 7. The fourth captain for the fourth month was Asahel the brother of Joab, and Zebadiah his son after him, and in his course were 20 and 4,000. 8. The fifth captain for the fifth month was Shamhuth the Israelite, and in his course were 20 and 4,000. 9. The sixth captain for the sixth month was Ira the son of Ikesh the Tekoite, and in his course were 20 and 4,000. 10. The seventh captain for the seventh month was Helez the Pelonite, of the children of Ephraim, and in his course were 20 and 4,000. 11. The eighth captain for the eighth month was Sibbecai the Hushathite, of the Zarites, and in his course were 20 and 4,000. 12. The ninth captain for the ninth month was Abiezer the Anetothite, of the Benjamites, and in his course were 20 and 4,000. 13. The 10th captain for the 10th month was Maharai the Netophathite, of the Zarites, and in his course were 20 and 4,000. 14. The 11th captain for the 11th month was Benaiah the Pirathonite, of the children of Ephraim, and in his course were 20 and 4,000. 15. The 12th captain for the 12th month was Heldai the Netophathite, of Othniel, and in his course were 20 and 4,000. We have here an account of the regulation of the militia of the kingdom. David was himself a man of war, and had done great things with the sword. He had brought into the field great armies. Now here we are told how he marshaled them when God had given him rest from all his enemies. He did not keep them all together, for that would have been a hardship on them and the country, yet he did not disband and disperse them all, for then he would have left his kingdom naked, and his people would have forgotten the arts of war wherein they had been instructed. He therefore contrived to keep up a constant force, and yet not a standing army. The model is very prudent. 1. He kept up 24,000 constantly in arms, I suppose in a body, and disciplined, in one part or other of the kingdom, the freeholders carrying their own arms and bearing their own charges while they were up. This was a sufficient strength for the securing of the public peace and safety. Those that are Israelites indeed must learn war, for we have enemies to grapple with, whom we are concerned constantly to stand upon our guard against. 2. He changed them every month, so that the whole number of the militia amounted to 288,000, perhaps about a fifth part of the able men of the kingdom. By being thus distributed into 12 courses, they were all instructed in, and accustomed to, military exercises, and yet none were compelled to be in service, and at expenses, above 1 month in the year, which they might very well afford, unless upon extraordinary occasions, and then they might all be got together quickly. It is the wisdom of governors, and much their praise, while they provide for the public safety, to contrive how to make it effectual and yet easy, and as little as possible burdensome to the people. 3. Every course had a commander-in-chief over it. Besides the subaltern officers that were rulers over thousands, and hundreds, and fifties, there was one general officer to each course or legion. All these 12 great commanders are mentioned among David's worthies and champions, 2 Samuel 23 and 1 Chronicles 11. They had first signalized themselves by their great actions, and then they were advanced to those great preferments. It is well with a kingdom when honor thus attends merit. Benaiah is here called a chief priest, verse 5. But, Cohen signifying both a priest and a prince, it might better be translated here a chief ruler, or, as in the margin, a principal officer. Dodai had Mikloth, verse 4, either for his substitute when he was absent or infirm, or for his successor when he was dead. Benaiah had his son under him, verse 6. Asahel had his son after him, verse 7, and by this it seems that this plan of the militia was laid in the beginning of David's reign, for Asahel was killed by Abner while David reigned in Hebron. When his wars were over, he revived this method, and left the military affairs in this posture, for the peaceable reign of his son Solomon. When we think ourselves most safe, yet, while we are here in the body, we must keep in a readiness for spiritual conflicts. Let not him that girdeth on the harness boast as he that puts it off. The military force, 1015 BC. 16 Furthermore, over the tribes of Israel, the ruler of the Reubenites was Eleazar the son of Zichri, of the Simonites, Shephatiah the son of Maachah, 17 of the Levites, Hashabiah the son of Kemuel, of the Aaronites, Zadok, 18 of Judah, Elihu, one of the brethren of David, of Issachar, Omri the son of Michael, 19 of Zebulun, Ishmaiah the son of Obadiah, of Naphtali, Jerimoth the son of Azriel, 20 of the children of Ephraim, Hosea the son of Azaziah, of the half-tribe of Manasseh, Joel the son of Pedaiah, 21 of the half-tribe of Manasseh in Gilead, Iddo the son of Zechariah, of Benjamin, Jaziel the son of Abner, 22 of Dan, Azareel the son of Jeraham. These were the princes of the tribes of Israel. 23 But David took not the number of them from 20 years old and under, because the Lord had said he would increase Israel like to the stars of the heavens. 24 Joab the son of Zeruiah began to number, but he finished not, because there fell wrath for it against Israel, neither was the number put in the account of the Chronicles of King David. 25 And over the king's treasures was Asmaveth the son of Adiel, and over the storehouses in the fields, in the cities, and in the villages, and in the castles, was Jehonathan the son of Uzziah, 26 And over them that did the work of the field for tillage of the ground was Ezri the son of Caleb, 27 And over the vineyards was Shimei the Ramathite, over the increase of the vineyards for the wine cellars was Zabdi the Shifmite, 28 And over the olive trees and the sycamore trees that were in the low plains was Baalhanan the Gederite, and over the cellars of oil was Josh, 29 And over the herds that fed in Sharon was Shitrai the Sharonite, and over the herds that were in the valleys was Shaphat the son of Adlai, 30 Over the camels also was Obil the Ishmaelite, and over the asses was Jediah the. All these were the rulers of the substance which was King David's. 32 Also Jonathan David's uncle was a counselor, a wise man, and a scribe, and Jehiel the son of Hachmoni was with the king's sons, 33 And Ahithophel was the king's counselor, and Hushai the Archite was the king's companion, 34 And after Ahithophel was Jehoiada the son of Benaiah, and Abiathar, and the general of the king's army was Joab. We have here an account 1. Of the princes of the tribes. Something of the ancient order instituted by Moses in the wilderness was still kept up, that every tribe should have its prince or chief. It is probable that it was kept up all along, either by election, or by succession, in the same family, and those are here named who were found in that office when this account was taken. Elihu or Eliab, who was prince of Judah, was the eldest son of Jesse, and descended in a right line from Nahshon and Salmon, the princes of this tribe in Moses' time. Whether these princes were of the nature of lord lieutenants that guided them in their military affairs, or chief justices that presided in their courts of judgment, does not appear. Their power, we may suppose, was much less now that all the tribes were united under one king than it had been when, for the most part, they acted separately. Our religion obliges us to be subject, not only to the king as supreme but unto governors under him, 1 Peter 2 verses 13 and 14, the princes that decree justice. Of Benjamin was Jaziel the son of Abner, verse 21. Though Abner was David's enemy and opposed his coming to the throne, yet David would not oppose the preferment of his son, but perhaps nominated him to this post of honor, which teaches us to render good for evil. 2. Of the numbering of the people, verses 23 and 24. It is here said, 1. That when David ordered the people to be numbered, he forbade the numbering of those under 20 years old, thinking thereby to save the reflection which what he did might otherwise cast upon the promise that they should be innumerable. yet it was but a poor salvo, for it had never been customary to number those under 20, and the promise of their numbers chiefly respected the effective men. 2. That the account which David took of the people, in the pride of his heart, turned to no good account, for it was never perfected, nor done with exactness, nor was it ever recorded as an authentic account. Joab was disgusted with it, and did it by halves. David was ashamed of it, and willing it should be forgotten, because there fell wrath for it against Israel. A good man cannot, in the reflection, please himself with that which he knows God is displeased with, cannot make use of that, nor take comfort in that, which is obtained by sin. 3. Of the officers of the court. 1. The rulers of the king's substance, as they are called, verse 31, such as had the oversight and charge of the king's tillage, his vineyards, his oliveyards, his herds, his camels, his asses, his flocks. Here are no officers for state, none for sport, no master of the wardrobe, no master of the ceremonies, no master of the horse, no master of the hounds, but all for service, agreeable to the simplicity and plainness of those times. David was a great soldier, a great scholar, and a great prince, and yet a great husband of his estate, kept a great deal of ground in his own hand, and stocked it, not for pleasure, but for profit. For the king himself is served of the field, Ecclesiastes 5 verse 9. Those magistrates that would have their subjects industrious must themselves be examples of industry and application to business. We find, however, that afterwards the poor of the land were thought good enough to be vine dressers and husbandmen, 2 Kings 25 verse 12. Now David put his great men to preside in these employments. 2. The attendants on the king's person. They were such as were eminent for wisdom, being designed for conversation. His uncle, who was a wise man and a scribe, not only well skilled in politics, but well read in the scriptures, was his counselor, verse 32. Another, who no doubt excelled in learning and prudence, was tutor to his children. Ahithophel, a very cunning man, was his counselor, but Hushai, an honest man, was his companion and confidant. It does not appear that he had many counselors, but those he had were men of great abilities. Much of the wisdom of princes is seen in the choice of their ministry. But David, though he had all these trusty and well-beloved cousins and counselors about him, preferred his Bible before them all. Psalm 119 verse 24, Thy testimonies are my delight and my counselors.